There comes a moment in every life where the noise becomes too loud, the chaos too heavy, and the pressure too constant. A moment where the mind keeps dragging you into futures that haven't happened and pasts you can't change. And if you're honest, you feel it. The weight, the static, the silent storm inside your chest. That moment is not weakness. It's the invitation. Because transformation doesn't begin in comfort. It begins when everything inside you says, I can't live asleep anymore. Understand this. You are not your thoughts. The mind loves control. It forces you into stories, fears, and predictions that have nothing to do with reality. And the cruel trick, it convinces you that its voice is you. But there is a deeper presence beneath the noise, an awareness that watches the storm without becoming it. And once you feel that presence, even for a second, your entire world changes. Because the mind loses its power the moment you see it for what it is. A narrator, not a master. Every moment you're lost in thought, you abandon the only place you can truly act. Now, the past is a ghost. The future is a mirage. But now, this breath, this heartbeat, is the doorway to power that most people never walk through. Your anxiety. That's your mind trying to control a future it can't touch. Your regret. That's your mind trying to rewrite a past that won't return. But power doesn't live in either of those worlds. Power lives in your ability to stand firmly in the moment in front of you and say, this is what is. And I choose how I respond. This is not passivity. This is liberation. Because when you stop resisting reality, you stop bleeding energy into battles you cannot win. You stop fighting what already exists. You stop feeding the emotional patterns, the pain body, that keep trying to drag you into old wounds and outdated identities. And yes, this part is dark, because you're going to meet the pieces of yourself you've been refusing to look at. Old anger, old fear, old stories that whisper, you're not enough. But here's the truth. Those shadows cannot survive your awareness. They thrive only when you ignore them. When you observe them, they burn out. Pain doesn't make you weak. Unconsciousness does. When you stand in presence, you step out of the emotional reactions that hijack your life. You begin to see people not as enemies or obstacles, but as mirrors, reflecting the parts of you that still need to be understood, accepted, and released. Every trigger becomes a teacher. Every frustration becomes training. Every discomfort becomes a sharpened blade in your evolution. And the more present you become, the more life stops feeling like something attacking you and starts becoming something cooperating with you. Because surrender is not defeat. Surrender is dropping the inner resistance so you can act with clarity instead of chaos. Presence turns you from a pawn of circumstance into a strategist of destiny. You begin to notice the small details, the breath you overlooked, the silence between thoughts, the life happening underneath your constant urge to escape it. You start seeing how much power you've been giving away to fear, to distraction, to the narrative of who you think you are supposed to be. But underneath every story the mind tells, there is a deeper you. Not the identity shaped by past pain or future pressure, but the observer, the awareness, the stillness that has never been broken. When you reconnect to that truth, you stop chasing validation. You stop clinging to outcomes. You stop living in mental prisons that were built by old versions of you that no longer exist. You return to what is real, to what is eternal, to what is awake. And from that state, your actions become precise instead of frantic. Your choices become powerful instead of reactive. Your presence becomes a weapon in a world addicted to distraction. If you want to change your life, don't wait for the perfect moment. Make this moment perfect by stepping fully into it. Breathe, observe, accept, act. The mind will tell you that peace is found after you fix everything in your life. But the truth is darker and far more freeing. Peace isn't the reward. Peace is the doorway. And once you walk through it, life begins to bend in your favor. Not because it changed, but because you did. So step into the now with a warrior's resolve. Let the world pull at you. Let the noise try to claim you. But stay rooted in the one place they can't reach. The quiet, powerful presence within you. Your freedom begins here, right now, in the only moment that ever truly exists. But understanding the power of presence is only the beginning. Hearing these words is not enough. Transformation doesn't happen because you felt inspired for 5 minutes. Transformation happens when you take these truths and forge them into your daily life with discipline and intention. Because the mind will not surrender easily. The pain body will claw for your attention. The world will try to drag you back into noise, distraction, and emotional chaos. And if you're not strategic, if you're not deliberate, you'll fall right back into the patterns that kept you trapped. So now that you understand the message, now that you've seen the shadows and the light beneath them, it's time to turn presence into practice. It's time to weaponize awareness, to carve stillness into your identity, to build a life that operates from clarity instead of survival. These next 5 steps are not theories. They are methods, disciplines, designed to take the concept you just heard and anchor them into your behavior, your mind, and your nervous system. If you follow them, the chaos within you will quiet. Your emotional triggers will lose their sharpness, and you'll begin to move through life with a kind of steady, unshakable power that most people never experience. So let's step into the training. Let's turn presence into a weapon. Let's break these truths into 5 steps you can live, breathe, and sharpen every single day. Step 1. Practice ruthless awareness of the mind. The first step is the most brutal because it forces you to face the truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Your mind is not on your side unless you train it to be. It moves fast, pulls you into imagined disasters, drags you through old stories, and convinces you that every passing thought is a reflection of who you are. It is relentless, and it never stops unless you stop it. This step demands a level of awareness that feels almost surgical. You're learning to watch the mind without becoming it. like a warrior observing an enemy's movements instead of blindly charging into the ambush. Every thought that tries to dominate your emotion, your identity, your sense of reality must be seen. Not fought, not feared, seen. The moment you witness a thought, something powerful happens. You become the observer. You create distance. You reclaim authority. Most people never experience this moment. They move through life completely fused with their mental noise, thinking every fear is a prophecy, every insecurity is a truth, and every negative thought must be obeyed. They live as prisoners, locked inside their own heads. But not you, not anymore. To implement this step, start by labeling the narrator. When your mind starts spiraling into anxiety or replaying old wounds, internally say, "The mind is speaking." Notice the shift. That simple phrase pulls you out of identification and places you in the seat of awareness. Next, set 3 awareness checkpoints: morning, midday, and night. These are not meditations. They are moments of confrontation. For 10 seconds, pause and observe what your mind is doing. Is it racing, complaining, predicting catastrophe, demanding your attention like a restless child? Good. See it. Don't fix it. Witness it. Awareness weakens the illusion of control the mind holds over you. And with repetition, you start noticing its patterns. The fear loops that always begin in the same place. The negative stories that return on schedule. The ego trying to defend itself from imaginary threats. Every pattern you catch loses a piece of its power. But the most important part of this step is the interrupt. Whenever you catch your mind dragging you out of the present moment, ask yourself, is this thought helping me right now? If the answer is no, and it usually will be, drop it instantly. Shift your focus to something physical: your breath, your hands, the feeling of your feet touching the ground. Sensation snaps you back into reality. This isn't about silencing the mind. It's about breaking the spell it casts over you. It's about refusing to surrender your emotional state to a voice that doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. It's about reclaiming the authority you unknowingly handed over a long time ago. Understand, you will not win this battle by force. You win it through awareness, through vigilance, through the steady, unshakable decision to stay conscious even when the mind tries to hook you with fear, temptation, nostalgia, or insecurity. Over time, you'll notice something extraordinary. Your mind begins to lose its grip. Thoughts that once sent you spiraling now feel distant, almost powerless. Emotional storms dissolve quicker. The mental noise softens. You begin to experience pockets of silence, moments where you feel like you're finally breathing in your own life rather than reacting to it. This is the beginning of mastery. This is the first doorway into presence. This is where you stop being a passenger in your own head and start becoming the one who decides where your awareness goes. Ruthless awareness is the foundation for everything that follows. Without it, the next steps collapse. With it, the entire world opens. This is the step where you take back control, not by force, but by finally waking up. Step 2. Build a daily presence ritual. Presence is not something that drifts into your life on its own. It is not a gift given to the chosen few. It is a discipline, a sharpening of awareness through repeated, deliberate action. To truly step into the power of the present moment, you must transform presence from a concept into a ritual, something woven into the fabric of your day until it becomes your default state of being. Most people live their lives in a haze, drifting from task to task, with their minds trapped somewhere else. Their bodies are in motion, but their consciousness is scattered across 1,000 imaginary timelines. They are eating while thinking about work, working while thinking about problems, relaxing while thinking about what they should have done differently. They exist everywhere except here. And because of that, they never feel the depth of life. They never access the intelligence, clarity, and grounded strength that only comes from presence. They are disconnected from themselves, constantly overstimulated, chronically distracted, and spiritually malnourished. But when you build a presence ritual, everything changes. You begin to see what most people are blind to. You begin to feel the difference between acting from clarity and acting from compulsion. You start to realize that your attention is the most powerful force you possess, and that wherever it goes, your life follows. To begin, adopt the 1-minute hourly reset. Every hour, on the hour, or as close as possible, stop what you're doing and spend 60 seconds becoming fully present. No matter what storm you're in, no matter how busy or overwhelmed you feel, you pause, you breathe, you return to yourself. During this minute, shift all your awareness into your senses. Feel the breath entering your lungs, the weight of your body in your seat, the subtle textures of the air around you. Notice the sounds, the light, the stillness hiding underneath the noise. For 60 seconds, do nothing but exist consciously. This small ritual begins rewiring your nervous system. It breaks the trance. It trains your mind to remember the now. Next, adopt the principle of single tasking. The world worships multitasking as if dividing your mind makes you more efficient. In reality, multitasking fragments your presence, weakens your focus, and drains your energy. When you commit to doing one thing at a time, fully, without mental wandering, you unlock a level of power and peace that most people never touch. If you're washing dishes, wash dishes. If you're eating, eat. If you're speaking to someone, hear them. When your mind tries to pull you into a memory or a projection, gently bring it back. Not with force, but with discipline. Stay here. Each time you return, your presence grows stronger. Then there is sensory anchoring, one of the most potent tools for collapsing mental noise. Throughout the day, choose one sense, sight, sound, touch, and anchor yourself to it. Let your awareness rest on the hum of distant noise, or the feeling of your clothing on your skin, or the subtle movement of your breath. Sensory awareness pulls you out of the illusion of thought and back into the reality of the moment. This step is not about creating rigid routines. It is about training your nervous system to recognize presence as home. It is about teaching your mind that it no longer has permission to drag you into unconsciousness. Over time, These rituals stop feeling like practices and start feeling like your natural way of moving through the world. But understand this: building a presence ritual is not always comfortable. In the beginning, presence will expose the chaos inside you. You will see how restless the mind truly is. You will feel the tension your body has been carrying for years. You will realize how often you escape the moment because the moment reveals truths you've avoided. Do not be discouraged by this. This is not a sign of failure. This is the beginning of freedom. Presence is not supposed to feel peaceful all the time. Sometimes presence feels like confrontation. Sometimes it feels like stepping into a room you've kept locked for decades. But only by entering that room can you clean it. Only by becoming aware of your inner patterns can you change them. Presence is the light that reveals the shadows you need to dissolve. As your ritual strengthens, you will notice subtle changes. Tasks feel easier because you're actually in them. Conversations deepen because you're listening with your entire awareness. Stress loses its grip because you're no longer swallowed by imagined futures. Even your physical body feels lighter, more awake, more alive. The world around you will feel different too. Color sharper, sounds clearer, time slower. This is not magic. It is the returning of your consciousness to the place it always belonged. Presence ritualizes power. Presence ritualizes clarity. Presence ritualizes peace. And when practiced consistently, it transforms your life from a reaction into a deliberate creation. When you learn to be fully in the moment, you stop drowning in the past or fearing the future. You reclaim the only place where real change is possible. You reclaim the only place where life actually happens. You reclaim now. And from now, everything becomes possible. Step 3. Consciously face and dissolve emotional pain. Step 3 is where most people turn back, because this is the step where you stop running. This is where you finally face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, suppressing, or numbing for years. The emotional wounds, old traumas, buried fears, and painful memories that still pull the strings of your reactions. They live inside you as the pain body. And if you don't confront it consciously, it will rule your life unconsciously. Most people have no idea how often their pain body hijacks their behavior. They think they're responding to the present, but in reality, they're reacting to echoes of the past. Old emotional patterns firing through the nervous system as if the original wound is happening again. A small comment feels like a threat. A minor inconvenience triggers rage. A moment of uncertainty unleashes panic. This is not weakness. This is unhealed energy demanding resolution. To dissolve emotional pain, you must first recognize the activation. When a reaction rises inside you that is far bigger than the situation warrants, pause and name it. This is old pain rising. This simple acknowledgement cuts the connection between the emotion and your identity. You are no longer drowning in it. You are observing it. You are stepping out of the storm and into awareness. Most people never do this. They let the pain body take over, speak through them, act through them, sabotage relationships, create unnecessary conflict, and drown them in emotional chaos. And afterward, they feel ashamed, confused, or exhausted, wondering why their reactions feel so out of proportion. But you are not here to repeat those cycles. You are here to break them. Once you identify the activation, your next task is to locate it physically. Emotional pain is not just mental. It manifests as sensations in the body: a tight chest, a clenched jaw, a knot in the stomach, heat rising through the throat. These are not random sensations. They are energy signatures of unresolved emotion. Bring your full awareness into the sensation without trying to change it. Feel it directly. Observe the shape, the movement, the intensity. This is where the real work begins, because presence dissolves what resistance keeps alive. Most people resist their pain with everything they have. They distract themselves. They argue with reality. They suppress what they feel. They self-medicate. They blame others. They do anything but look inward. But every avoidance becomes fuel for the pain body. Each moment of resistance strengthens it. You are going to do the opposite. You are going to bring awareness into the pain, not away from it. As you focus on the sensation, begin to breathe into it. Slow, deliberate breaths. Not to make the feeling disappear, but to make space around it. The breath opens the body, relaxes the mind, and gives the emotion room to shift. At first, the pain body may intensify. This is normal. When you shine awareness on old wounds, they often surge upward as they are being released. Stay with it. The emotion cannot harm you. It is only energy, and energy transforms when faced consciously. Over time, something profound begins to happen. The emotion that once overwhelmed you starts to dissolve. The tightness loosens. The pressure fades. The story behind the emotion loses its power. You begin to realize that the feeling is not who you are. It is something passing through you. And then, with enough practice, emotional triggers that once exploded inside you begin to weaken. Situations that used to control you no longer carry the same force. You respond with clarity instead of reactivity. You see the world as it is, not as your wounds distort it. This is emotional freedom, not the absence of pain, but the mastery of it. To reinforce this transformation, make it a habit to pause before reacting. When you feel a surge of emotion, do not immediately speak, argue, defend, or attack. Take a moment, breathe, observe. Let the emotional charge lose its grip before you act. This alone can save relationships, opportunities, and years of unnecessary suffering. And understand this: facing emotional pain does not make you fragile. It makes you powerful. Anyone can suppress emotion. Anyone can pretend they're fine. Anyone can distract themselves into oblivion. But it takes strength, a rare, almost warrior-like strength, to turn inward and confront the shadows that live inside you. You are not doing this work just for peace. You are doing it for liberation. You are doing it so the past can no longer dictate your future. You are doing it so you can finally act from awareness instead of emotional conditioning. As you continue this practice, your internal landscape changes. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once controlled you becomes neutral. What once terrified you becomes wisdom. You begin to trust yourself again. You begin to feel grounded, steady, aware. You begin to live, not as a survivor of your past, but as the master of your present. This is the power of consciously facing emotional pain. It is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. Step 4. Replace resistance with intentional surrender. Step 4 is where the real transformation begins, not because it's dramatic or glamorous, but because it demands the one thing your ego hates more than anything: surrender. Not the weak kind, not the passive kind, not the give up because life is hard kind. No, true surrender, the kind that requires strength, awareness, and the courage to stop fighting battles that never needed to be fought in the first place. You've spent most of your life resisting reality. Every human has. We resist circumstances, timing, discomfort, uncertainty, other people, our own emotions, and even ourselves. Resistance is the invisible force that tightens your chest, drains your energy, and keeps you trapped in constant mental warfare. It is the silent voice inside you that says, "This shouldn't be happening," even though it already is. And the dark truth is this: nothing has ever created more suffering in your life than your resistance to what already exists. Think about that. The situations themselves were not the true source of agony. It was your refusal to accept them. The moment you say no to reality, you fracture yourself. You split your energy. You wage an internal battle you cannot win. This is why surrender is not weakness. It is intelligence. Surrender begins with the question most people never ask themselves: what am I resisting right now? This single question cuts through confusion like a blade. It forces you to confront the tension you've been carrying unconsciously. It reveals the truth you've avoided. Maybe you're resisting failure, or change, or discomfort, or the loss of control. Maybe you're resisting a conversation, a responsibility, or a truth about yourself you don't want to face. Whatever it is, resistance keeps you stuck where you are. Once you identify your resistance, you shift into the second phase of surrender: acceptance. Not approval, not passivity, not pretending you like what's happening, simply accepting that what is happening is happening. Acceptance does not stop you from taking action. Acceptance clears the emotional fog so that your action becomes intelligent instead of reactive. Acceptance is the release of inner conflict. Acceptance creates space inside you where clarity can finally breathe. To practice acceptance, use the phrase, "This is what is. I choose my response." Those words pull you out of emotional turbulence and into conscious choice. They stop the mind from spiraling into blame, fear, or rage. They redirect your awareness from resistance to agency. Suddenly, you're not drowning. You're standing. You're not reacting. You're deciding. From here, surrender moves into its most powerful form, waiting until the inner storm passes before you act. Most people speak or make decisions while their emotions are still on fire. They send messages, break relationships, make threats, quit jobs, argue, or take steps they regret because their pain body is controlling their actions. They think they're being strong, when in reality, they're just being unconscious. Presence teaches you the opposite. Act after the storm, not during it. Let your emotions rise and fall without trying to stop them. Let the tension soften. Let the fear lose its grip. When the wave passes, as it always does, you will see the situation clearly for the first time. And in that clarity, the right action becomes obvious. This is where surrender reveals its true nature. It doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful. It aligns your actions with reality instead of fighting against it. It frees up your mental and emotional energy, allowing you to respond with precision, strategy, and wisdom. When you practice surrender regularly, life begins to feel different. Not easier, cleaner, not problem-free, but peaceful, even in the presence of challenge. Opportunities become clearer. Relationships improve because you stop reacting from old wounds. Stress loses its intensity because you're not feeding it with resistance. Your mind becomes calmer, your body lighter, your decisions sharper. Over time, you realize something profound. Life was never attacking you. You were attacking yourself by resisting what already was. Surrender breaks that cycle. Surrender turns chaos into clarity. Surrender transforms suffering into strategy. And as you surrender more deeply, you begin to see that life flows in ways you could never control, but can always adapt to. You become flexible instead of rigid, responsive instead of reactive, conscious instead of defensive. This is not the surrender of defeat. It is the surrender of mastery. The surrender that says, I will not waste my life fighting reality. I will use every moment, every challenge, every shift as a tool for my awakening. In this way, surrender becomes your greatest strength. It becomes the doorway to inner freedom. It becomes the moment you stop being tossed around by life and start moving with it. Step 4 is the art of letting go, not to lose, but to rise. Not to fall back, but to move forward with power, clarity, and presence. This is the step where your transformation becomes undeniable. Step 5. Integrate presence into your identity and lifestyle. This is the final step, the step where presence stops being something you practice occasionally and becomes the way you exist. This is where the concept becomes a lifestyle, and the lifestyle becomes your identity. Because the truth is simple but unmistakable. You cannot master presence by visiting it. You master presence by living it. Up to this point, you've learned how to watch the mind, how to anchor yourself in the moment, how to dissolve emotional pain, and how to release resistance. Those are the pillars. But a pillar is only useful when it supports something, and that something is you, your life, your choices, your behaviors, your way of operating in a world full of distraction, instability, and noise. Integrating presence means you no longer treat it as a separate practice. You no longer think, I will be present now, and then drift back into unconsciousness for the rest of the day. No, presence becomes your default state. The way you walk, Breathe, speak, work, think, rest, and respond. It becomes the foundation of your inner world and the framework for your outer one. The first part of this integration is deceptively simple. Tie presence to the ordinary behaviors of your life. Every time you open a door, stand up, sit down, wash your hands, or step into a room, use that moment as a cue to return to awareness. These tiny rituals rewire your nervous system. They train your mind to return to the now without effort. They transform mundane actions into anchors for consciousness. What you're doing is building a web of presence throughout your day. A grid of awareness that supports you even when life becomes chaotic. Eventually, these micro moments start to overlap, and presence stops feeling like something you do. It becomes the background state of your existence. The next piece is the presence review, a nightly ritual that exposes what most people refuse to see. At the end of the day, ask yourself two questions. Where today was I conscious? Where today was I lost? This is not self-judgment. This is self-honesty, the rarest form of strength. When you answer these questions, you learn the architecture of your unconsciousness. You begin to see patterns, moments where you slip into autopilot, emotions that still hook you, environments that cloud your awareness, people who trigger old stories, habits that pull you out of yourself. And when you see them, you're no longer controlled by them. Awareness is the first step to liberation, and reflection is the sharpening stone that polishes awareness into mastery. Over weeks and months, the presence review rewrites your internal programming. You begin to catch yourself drifting sooner. You return to awareness faster. Your unconscious stretches become shorter and shorter until they barely exist at all. But the most powerful aspect of Step 5, the heart of integration, is the shift from living through the story of who you think you are to living as the awareness behind the story. This is the deepest transformation. This is the inner awakening. This is the death of the false self. Your ego, the collection of roles, labels, memories, wounds, and narratives, has been steering your identity for years. It whispers things like, "This is just who I am. I've always been this way. I can't change. I need to control everything." These are not truths. They are scripts, old programming, fiction taught to you by pain, past experiences, and conditioning. When you integrate presence into your identity, you stop letting these scripts define you. When fear arises, you don't become fear. You observe fear. When doubt whispers, you hear it, but do not bow to it. When pain surfaces, you hold it in awareness instead of letting it write your destiny. You begin to live from a deeper place, the calm, clear, spacious consciousness underneath all thought. And from this place, your decisions change, your relationships shift, your habits transform, your energy becomes grounded, steady, magnetic. People around you will feel it. They'll notice the difference before you do, because presence radiates. Presence influences. Presence changes the atmosphere of every room you enter. Integration also means that presence becomes your compass in difficult moments. When situations escalate, you return to breath. When your mind spins, you anchor into sensation. When emotions surge, you hold them without reacting. When life challenges you, you respond from clarity rather than chaos. And slowly, you build a life that reflects the consciousness you've cultivated. A life that is aligned, intentional, spacious, grounded, and deeply alive. Integration is not perfection. It is continuity. It is remembrance. It is returning to yourself again and again until the return becomes natural and forgetting becomes rare. This is the step where presence becomes permanent, where the now becomes home, where the mind becomes a tool instead of a tyrant, where emotional storms lose their violence, where resistance dissolves before it can take root. This is the step where you stop practicing presence and start living as presence. And once you reach this point, your entire life transforms, not through force, not through obsession, not through struggle, but through awareness, through alignment, through becoming the observer that has always existed beneath the noise. Step 5 is not the end. It is the beginning of a new way of being, a conscious, powerful, awake way of being. The life you build from this state is not the life you had before. It is the life you were meant to live. And now, you stand at the edge of something rare, something most people will never touch in their entire lives. You've seen what happens when you stop running from your mind, when you step into the moment, when you confront your pain, release resistance, and begin living from awareness instead of conditioning. You've tasted the truth hiding beneath all the noise. You were never powerless, only unconscious. The world will keep trying to pull you back into the old ways. Distraction will try to seduce you. Fear will try to reclaim you. Your mind will try to drag you into stories that were never yours to carry. But now, you know better. You've seen the machinery behind the curtain. You've witnessed the strength that rises when you anchor yourself in the now. Presence is not a destination. Presence is a choice, one you will make over and over again. Some days, the choice will feel natural. Other days, it will feel like a battle. But every time you return to awareness, every time you breathe instead of react, every time you choose consciousness over chaos, you forge yourself into something unshakable. This is not the path of comfort. This is not the path of ease. This is the path of awakening, raw, honest, and powerful. And if you stay on it, your life will not just improve, it will transform. Because a person who is present is no longer bound by their past. A person who is conscious is no longer controlled by their emotions. A person who is awake is no longer a prisoner to the mind. You become something the world cannot bend. So carry these truths with you. Let them become your armor, your compass, your foundation. Let them guide you back to yourself when you drift. Let them remind you that the only moment that ever truly exists, the only moment where change, power, and purpose live, is this one. Return to it, again and again, until presence is not something you practice, but the person you are. Your awakening has already begun. Now, walk into it fully.